Shawn Askinosie is an ex-criminal defense lawyer turned entrepreneur and founder of Askinosie Chocolate. He has created a small batch bean-to-bar chocolate manufacturing company that sources 100% of their beans directly from farmers in impoverished locations all around the world. We speak about transforming lives, social justice, and joyfully participating in the sorrows of the world. Shawn explains what it takes to get from the courtroom to the Amazon. He talks about the effects of globalization, working with small cocoa farmers around the world, and profit sharing. This discussion is not about the chocolate, but it's about the chocolate. Let's listen. I'm here with Shawn Askinosie. Very nice to have you here, Shawn.
Thank you.
And again, we're doing failures from the field, and we're talking about some things that don't get highlighted every day by those leaders who are conducting social development projects and making change in the world. There's a lot of pressure often for us to talk about the successes and the impact and concisely demonstrate how we're changing the world. But very often we don't get to hear how we got there and some of the roadblocks and challenges. So Shawn, if you can just start out, briefly summarize your mission and what you're trying to change in the world, and then I think we can dive in.
Sure. Well, Askinosie Chocolate, a little family business in Springfield, Missouri. We have 15 people full-time. We're a bean-to-bar chocolate factory, and I would say that, well, we have a saying around the factory, and the saying is, it's not about the chocolate, it's about the chocolate. And people are often confused by that, and actually it is confusing, but it's confusing even to me when I say it. But here's what I mean. This business is completely and totally about the lives of other people that we can touch. It's about a transformed heart. It's about kindness. And it's entering into relationship with other people, whether it's in our community or the communities where we source cocoa beans, and finding ways to work with them together and to be part of their lives and vice versa. And to help them, and for them to help us. Well, that's not about chocolate. I didn't even say chocolate in that. But this business is also totally and completely about the chocolate. We're laser focused on that.
Sure.
And so there's this almost Zen-like tension between the importance of the profitability of our business and the quality of the chocolate that we make that has to be perfect, and in tension with the lives that we want to touch and interact with and help and transform. And those things are sometimes in opposite of each other, and I love that, because from that mess comes really awesome things,
Very
including
cool.
failure.
So, you seem to have a very clear mission and feeling about what your company needs to be. Where does that stem from? What did you see out there that wasn't accomplishing that? Was it maybe something previously in your life or in somewhere else? What did you observe that drove you to be so passionate about where you are now?
I was a criminal defense lawyer for 20 years before I started this business, and I specialized in serious felony cases, and I was a private defense lawyer, but I've always, in my entire life, even in high school, had a passion for social justice, the rights of other people, and I've always enjoyed being a part of that. Joseph Campbell said that we are called to joyfully participate in the sorrows of the world. And I've always been that way, and part of the reason is because when I was 14, my dad died of lung cancer. And it was just a terrible tragedy, the way it was all handled and everything, and it changed me. And so I started a grief center for children and their families 15 years ago, and we've helped over 2,000 kids and their families. And so that's a tragedy, that's a terrible thing, but from that terrible thing came goodness and healing. And that's just one example, but that's the event or the thing that I look back on in my life as something that was pivotal for me, and that's in many ways what drives me to the things that I do today.
So there must have been quite a transition from criminal defense to chocolate. Can you tell me a little bit about that transition? And there must have been some interesting times, maybe some challenges there.
Yes, I had no hobbies as a lawyer. I worked all the time, and the only thing I really knew well was the courtroom. And when I say no hobbies, I mean I didn't do anything else. And so what I did is there was a moment in my criminal career that I don't have time to explain, but I never lost a jury trial. But there was a moment in one of my murder cases that is also pivotal. And I looked back on that, and that was a moment when I decided I needed to get out. And so I spent 5 years praying that God would give me something else to do. And it was that simple of a prayer. Dear God, please give me something else to do. And I said it repeatedly for 5 years. And so I started some hobbies, and then over 10 years ago, the idea came to me about chocolate from scratch. And when I got that idea, I did not know that chocolate came from a bean. Had no idea. I thought it was just melted substance that was poured into a mold. But within 3 months of that, I was in the Amazon learning. And then I began the transition of lawyer to chocolate maker, and it was quite a transition, and not the least of which was financial. I currently make what I used to pay in taxes. Let that soak in for just a minute. That's what I make. What I used to pay the government is now what I make as a salary. And so it was a very bumpy, turbulent transition that was filled with so much stress that I can't even describe.
That's actually amazing. And during that time, as you were learning, as you were traveling to the Amazon, learning about the process of where chocolate even comes from, what did you discover that was most revelatory to you? What was it that was the strongest learning? Maybe not about chocolate or that, but about yourself and about what you wanted to do.
The thing that I think has been most striking to me since I started this and started traveling to these regions of poverty where cocoa is grown, all of them are in poverty, by the way. It's just varying degrees between the Philippines, Honduras, Ecuador, Tanzania, where I travel every year. The thing that has been most revelatory to me is that regardless of country, but wherever I've traveled for cocoa beans, I've never seen such joy and hospitality in my life. And these people are poor. They give me what they don't have. They welcome me into their homes. I don't even welcome people in my home. These are people who have nothing but welcome me and want to give to me. And I've been traveling a lot over the last 10 years, but I never take that for granted. It never becomes old to me to experience joy and hospitality in a way that it's something I worry about, because I worry that with the proliferation of technology, and everybody's talking about scaling up this and scaling up that, and 100 million people here and 1 billion people there, that before you know it, we'll all be so similar that we'll be disinteresting. And I worry about, especially Africa, that we're going to literally force the joy out of them if we're not careful. It's essentially, we're almost new colonizers by imposing our solutions on people who don't have much, and in many ways they have way more than we do.
So if that's the learning, and now you're running a company that works in these areas and interacts with the people that you've met, how do you now run your business in such a way that is consistent with your ideals?
One of the things that we do is, as I mentioned, that we have community development projects in the place. Let's just take Tanzania, for instance, where we work with a school. And we have so many programs in this school and around the village, and everything from empowered girls programs to feeding programs to tutoring programs. And every single one of those projects was approached in the spirit of collaboration, which takes a long time. I mean, I've got all the answers. Why don't they just listen to me and just follow my checklist of how to solve problems, and we'll be finished. I mean, that's all it takes. But unfortunately, that's what we've done for the last however many centuries to address these problems. Collaboration is so much harder. I mean, it's even hard in the chocolate. You know, we collaborate on a lot of chocolate. It's just hard. But it's lasting. And that's the way we've approached all of these projects, is we want to find out, well, what are your concerns? You know, how do you think that this problem can be solved? How can we help? What can we do? What can we do together? That's the biggest takeaway that I've had from the experience that we've had with farmers around the world.
So whether it's in sort of the nonprofit sphere or the for-profit sphere, we see a lot of the small guy. I think you mentioned before when we were chatting that you're a family business, you're happy with your size. The small guy who might be willing to collaborate, even if it is long and hard, and some of the bigger organizations who are able to take some shortcuts. How do you compete and stay relevant? And is there something that is developed in your philosophy that you could share with the bigger guys or share on how business could be conducted that way?
Well, first of all, I don't compete. I don't compete with big companies. I don't even consider myself in the same space. Or maybe I do. I've never thought of it that way. I've never thought of it that way at all. I mean, chocolate is a sought-after product around the world, and unfortunately, cocoa farmers are not being paid enough money, and chocolate bars don't cost enough. But the thing that I think I could share with the big companies that essentially control the chocolate world, that I think would be meaningful and really impactful worldwide, is profit sharing. There's a long supply chain in many cases in the cocoa world between farmer and port and buyer and grinder and roaster and ultimately a chocolate manufacturer in the big cocoa world. But I think if companies were to profit share with farmers directly straight back to those farmers that are registered with them, it wouldn't be hard to do. All the big companies now are bragging about traceability. Well, if they're so traceable, then why don't you profit share with the people that you can trace it back to? And it would be, I have found it to be extremely meaningful to farmers to read over my financial statement and get money. And profit sharing is not a new concept, and it's certainly not a new concept among these companies that control the big cocoa world. And I would really encourage them, and I hope I get an opportunity to talk to them about how we do it. It's not complicated, and it's a lot of money, and money that they can afford to share.
Well, Shawn, thank you so much for joining me. I found this incredibly insightful, especially in a field that I was very ignorant of before we started chatting, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.